Stephen is joining us on set, and he's starting with TV, actually. Well, not so much TV, streaming, really. Netflix, the latest results that have disappointed, though, investors.
That's right. Shares in Netflix fell by almost 9% in after-hours trading after the latest financial results from the company were announced, covering the period for the first 3 months of 2021. The streaming giant saw a sharp slowdown in growth of new people signing up to its services. At the end of March, Netflix had a total of 208 million subscribers around the world. That's less than its target of 210 million. And over that period from January to March, it added just 4 million subscribers compared to the same period last year, where it added 16 million. So that's what gave investors pause for thought. Netflix says this slowdown is partly natural because lockdown measures are being lifted in parts of the world. People are spending less time at home, which means less time watching Netflix. It's also adding fewer new shows at the moment, and that's because they were affected by the production shutdowns last year again due to the pandemic. The company, though, also facing increased competition in this area. Disney, Apple, many more also getting in on the streaming game.
So what does it actually mean for Netflix finances then?
Before that period of the first 3 months of the year, Netflix saw its revenues jump by almost a quarter to over $7 billion. Profits were up massively too, and that's partly because Netflix was making fewer programs. Their costs were much lower, so profits had gone up as a result. Netflix has a budget of $17 billion for new productions this year. They're hoping that more seasons of some of its hit shows like Sex Education or Bridgerton will help to keep subscribers interested. It has reined in expectations for future growth, though. For the current period until the end of June, it's now only expecting to add 1 million subscribers around the world. That's down from its previous target of 5 million.
Another big name trying to maintain growth is Apple.
Company announcing new versions of its iMac and iPad, as well as a Bluetooth tracking device for objects like your keys. CEO Tim Cook also announcing a subscription podcast service which will start in May. Subscribers will be able to skip ads and access extra content from their favourite podcasts, in a move that's seen as efforts to rival Spotify in the podcast business.
Could do with a keys one, I'm always losing mine. Here to France now. The restaurant industry is really clamouring to find out when they'll be allowed to reopen, of course.
Pandemic restrictions in France have kept bars and restaurants closed since the end of October. The French president has promised to look at restarting outdoor dining after mid-May. Amid that uncertainty, employers in seaside resorts are struggling to find seasonal workers for this summer, with warnings that up to 100,000 staff will be needed. Erdogan K reports.
Every summer, some 900,000 people visit La Tranche-sur-Mer. The town employs around 100 seasonal workers. But because of the pandemic, some of this restaurant manager's usual staff won't return this year.
On a malheureusement l'exemple de certains, et en cuisine et en salle, oui, qui ont décidé de prendre une autre voie professionnelle et qui ont décidé effectivement de changer de métier complètement.
Seasonal workers in France typically alternate between long hours in the high season and receive unemployment benefits during the off-season. Damien Ferrier worked in the restaurant industry for 25 years. This summer would have been his 26th until he decided to change sectors, finding work in construction. With 2 children to support, seasonal work wasn't enough.
Ce que me donne Pôle emploi et ce que j'ai en facture franche tous les mois, j'arrivais pas à m'en sortir.
At this campsite restaurant, preparations are underway for reopening. But none of its regular seasonal workers, who are mainly students, have applied.
On a quand même l'inquiétude de se dire est-ce que la saison va être pleine, et puis faut savoir que sans saisonnier on n'est pas grand-chose, on peut pas travailler correctement, donc pour l'instant aucun CV.
According to the Hotel Workers Union, some 100,000 seasonal staff are still needed before restaurants and campsites reopen.
Let's take a quick look at what's happening in the markets next for you. In Europe, at the start of trading, we saw shares opening up. Technology companies leading the gains there. The French retailer Carrefour's shares up 2.5% at the open after its latest financial results. In Asia, concerns over rising coronavirus cases in countries like India had been hitting stock markets. The Nikkei in Tokyo closing down 2%, falls 2 there in Hong Kong and in Seoul.
Me now, finally from Stephen. Online investors are trying to whip up interest in the cryptocurrency Dogecoin, but they didn't quite succeed, did they?
Now, Dogecoin was originally created as a joke using a meme of a Shiba Inu dog, but it has grown to a market value of over $40 billion amid this frenzy around Bitcoin and other digital tokens as well. There's the Shiba Inu there. And now, online supporters of Dogecoin had pegged yesterday, April 20th, or 420 Day, as a date to push up the value of Dogecoin. They wanted to get it to $1 each. The trading had risen in the early part of the day. It reached a high point of just over 40 cents, but it has slumped since down to around 33 cents. That's not bad, considering at the start of April it was only worth around 6 cents. It's had growth of around 7,000% this year.
Wow.
But the hopes had been that Dogecoin would bring it, as investors put it, to the moon of their $1 level. They didn't quite get there, though. But, another day, another Doge.
Almost got to the outside of the atmosphere. Very good, Stephen. Yeah, Stephen Carroll with Business Stuff for us 24.